pretty cool guest coming up. I think some of you know him. For a lot of different things. Are you excited about this next person? Well, let's bring it on Mr. Misha, ladies and gentlemen. You know, tonight, this evening, you need to put your shoes out. Because St. Nicholas is going to come.
Oh, not like you're doing right now.
Well, no, yeah.
I thought you meant like,
no, you put in your shoes in front of the door.
Really?
Yeah, and then if you wake up, you might get like a clementine in your shoe.
Really?
Or you might get distributed paper.
What is that? Is that where Edward Scissorhands came from?
Kind of. It's like the best book ever, because there's the girl that burns herself to death. The little boy that gets his thumbs cut off.
Aww.
Yeah.
With a pair of giant
Yeah, with big giant scissors, yeah.
Why does he get his thumbs cut off?
Well, because he's sucking his thumbs, and you're not supposed to suck your thumbs.
Are there any children in the audience?
Who here has gotten this book as a child? Wow.
Who here had their thumbs cut off as a child? Fairly common in Germany.
It sounds like it is. Well, we've already got a big line over to the left, and we don't have any other line because we've only got one microphone.
So in the U.S. we have Santa Claus.
Right.
And our Santa Claus is if you have not been a good child over the course of the preceding year, then instead of clementines in your stocking and other gifts, you get coal. So it's just like you get fossil fuels in your stocking if you were bad.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
Here, you cut your thumb off.
Right. Personal responsibility.
Or you get burned to death.
Right. Personal responsibility.
The stakes are a little bit higher here. That's why in the U.S., kids are like, I don't care, I'm gonna be an asshole. What's the worst that could happen? Maybe I'll get coal, which I can use for something. Coal is useful.
I got coal.
You got coal as a child?
I was traumatized.
What?
I got coal.
What did you do?
I don't remember, but I remember getting it.
You must have been a horrible child.
Oh my god, I must have been.
Wow.
It was terrible. I feel bad. I feel ashamed to say.
Shame on you. So, seriously, are there children in the audience?
I think there are a couple.
When you say child, how old are you? How old is that child?
How old are you? 15.
How old are those children?
14.
Where
13? Any 13-year-olds? 13.
Where do you stand on Santa Claus?
You stand on his belly. Because it's so big.
I don't want to be the person. I can't. There's stories I can tell, but I don't want to wreck things.
Spoilers.
Okay.
Cover your ears.
I'm going to leave it alone.
So,
my children. So
are they Santa children? Does Santa come to your house?
Santa comes to our house. My daughter is 9. My son is 11. We've had some candid conversations, me and the 11-year-old, about Santa Claus. And this is hard. So we have another thing which we do in our house, which is, do you have an advent calendar?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course, of course. I think it actually comes from Germany.
Yes.
Okay. So we have an advent calendar. But in our house, the elves hide the advent calendar every night. So the kids have to go around the house and find it, because in the middle of the night, the elves come out of the walls where they live, and they hide the advent calendar somewhere, and then all morning the kids run around and then they find it, and then they open it up and there's a chocolate in there. Well, I came home and I told the kids, so the advent elves forgot to put the advent calendar out one night, and then they failed to do it the next night as well. And the kids were like, what's going on with the advent elves? And then the next day, they left a note and explained that they had been stuck in a snowstorm. And that they had finally made it back, and they apologized, and they put extra stuff in the advent calendar. And then I came home, and the advent elves had, they had again not put the calendar out, because these elves really didn't have their shit together. And I found that there was a hole in the wall, and my son was pounding on the drywall with a hammer. There was a big hole in the wall. I was like, Wes, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm looking for the elves. And I had to be like, okay. Yeah, I don't know where they are either. Let me help you. Okay. Hi.
Hi, good morning. Or good afternoon, I'm sorry.
You have a question?
Yes. Misha.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry.
Are you nervous? Are you nervous? You are now.
So I wanted to ask about the 1998 McDonald's. How much we had to add? You had to search for dish
Yes.
because no one found it.
Right.
And if you can't say anything about it, maybe give us another prompt because we had a lot of fun with the last prompt.
Well, there was a gish item last year in my scavenger hunt to try to find old footage from a McDonald's commercial that I did in
98.
98. I think it was 98. So it could have been 89, I'm not sure. Anyway, it does exist. I mean, I did shoot it. And it featured my feet and not my face. And it only played in Maryland, the state in the US. So it's very difficult to find, probably because it exists nowhere. But I've been amazed by the things that people have found that I was in. Like, I did a tax preparation instructional video that somehow someone found at a library sale. It was like out on the table in the library. It was like, we're selling this stuff. It was on a VHS tape. And somebody copied it and put it on the internet, and now anyone can see me in my father's suit talking about taxes. So,
Yeah, I got the 10th grade. That is right. It was about the 10th grade.
hi.
Thank you.
Next up, thank you.
Brilliant.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm
Dara?
Yes.
Hi.
And I would like to ask a question about our Lord and Savior, Castellano.
Okay.
So, in a relationship, do you think Cass would be the one to propose, or would he need someone to propose to him?
I think Cass could go either way on that. I mean, I think Cass would be totally flattered if someone were to propose to him. But I think Cass has demonstrated that he can be the one to take the lead. You know, he can be the one to put himself out there and say, I love you first. So, presumably, he's not waiting for someone to put a ring on him. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Hello. Hello.
Hi, Misha.
Hi.
First of all, I love you.
Aww.
And I wanted to tell you that you really do make the world a better place. So thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
kindness. That's very sweet.
And my question is, at another convention a long time ago, you once said that you would continue shooting Supernatural alone in your basement long after the show has ended. So my question is, when's the next season coming?
And now everyone waits. Seriously, when do we see it? I will endeavor to do that. That's a good reminder. I forgot that I promised that. I love the idea that it's like at some point, like security from Warner Brothers is going to be banging on the door to my basement, like, get out of there, stop violating our copyright. I recently got a message from Eric Kripke. You know who that is? And he said, hey, a friend of mine is trying to do this podcast about Supernatural. So it's like a Supernatural viewing podcast. Do you know what these guys like? They have like one for The Walking Dead and stuff like that, where they talk about the episodes. So, and he said, would you be interested in hosting? And I said no. But my friends Rich and Rob might, and so I think Rich and Rob are doing a show that's like a Supernatural watching, reviewing, discussion show. And I think the first episode is going to have Jared and Jensen in it. They were supporting characters on the show. But so there is some more Supernatural content coming in the form of a podcast hosted by Rich and Rob.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, I can offer you that.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Jay.
Hi, Jay.
I've been trying to tell you this like for a few days now, and I never got the words out. I'm proud of you for everything that you do. I am so proud of you every time you do something. And my question is...
Not every time.
Yes,
Not
yes, every
anything.
time.
I was just in the bathroom just now, and I don't know. All right.
You made it though, right?
That's true. That's a good point. I'm out of the bathroom, so that's good.
And I wanted to know, what would have to have happened, what would have to have broken at the network or wherever for us to get like actual on-screen Destiel reciprocity?
I don't know the answer to that question.
What do you think?
I think we probably would have needed more seasons of Supernatural, and not just shot in my basement. Yeah. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm proud of you for asking. Hi.
I forgot my question, so I'm just freestyle it.
You're doing great, by the way.
This is a trick question, if you remember me from autographs, but what's the craziest fan creation someone made for you or showed you or something that made you go, oh shit, that's really great?
Was it really great?
Yeah.
Or really?
I mean, you can go both ways.
Okay. Like your shirt says. Well, there was someone who came up to photo ops. This was maybe 5 years ago, and they had roadkill. Do you know what roadkill is? It's animals that have been hit by cars. So there were dead animals that had been home taxidermied. So she stuffed them at home, but they didn't look like totally professional taxidermy jobs. They were a little bit unusual. And they were dressed up as Sam, Dean, and Cass. There was a squirrel, of course. I can't remember, I think Cass might have been a skunk. And she sort of came up into the photo ops and just handed me this skunk. And I took it, and then I was like, oh, I'm holding a roadkill skunk. And then we took pictures, and then everybody who worked at the convention ran over with hand sanitizer and lathered me up. But that was a good creation. Thank you.
It's your turn.
Hello.
I would like to ask you about, I like to watch the Great British Bake Off, and I wanted to ask you if you would consider joining them, or like any baking show or cooking show.
Certainly, I would consider, yeah. I would lose, because I'm not a baker. I'm not precise. I don't like to follow recipes.
I have something for that.
Oh, you do? You have something to fix that?
This is brilliant. I love this. This is great. I love when things come together.
He is about to bring out a stove, an oven, and everything we need to make muffins. What the hell?
You could do noodles.
I could do noodles. Are we sponsored by Cup of Noodles?
We are actually sponsored by Cup of Noodles.
We are. Well, look at this product placement. If you want to be like me and lose at baking competitions, then Nissan Cup of Noodles is for you. Great. Yeah, thanks for asking. I did a little cooking show with my son years ago called Cooking Fast and Fresh with Wes, which I thought was a little bit of a cooking competition show. It was basically me trying to. He was trying to destroy the kitchen, and I was trying not to freak out. Cleaning up after, we did one that was called the Thanksgiving edition, where he got a blender and he was making pasta with jam sauce, and it sprayed all over the kitchen. And we just sold that house, so I don't know, that was 7 years ago. We just sold the house, and as we were cleaning the house to sell it, I was still finding pasta with jam sauce in cracks behind the stove. Like, it was everywhere. It was as if a bomb had gone off in the kitchen. So, that's all. That's all I have to say about that. Great, thanks.
Now, before you go, Doctor, you have won the grand prize for the first food question. This 5 cases of Nissan Cup Noodles.
She's like, I got in here with a carry-on. Now I look at that.
Hi, I was here yesterday already and I gave you presents, and I was wondering if you can keep them or if they land in the trash.
Wow. A lot of pressure coming from that.
I'm sorry.
No, I do. I keep the good presents. The ones I like.
For example?
For example, that ball, the thing that you gave me, which was my favorite.
Well, I will help you. I gave you the pastel rainbow cookies. Maybe you remember? Of course. I hope they tasted good.
Maybe I do. I'm excited about talking to you. Did you make those cookies?
I did on Friday.
Thank you. So they're still fresh, really.
They are.
Okay.
You can still try them if you haven't already.
I haven't, but I intend to. And I can tell you this much: I have not yet thrown out your cookies.
Thanks.
Thank you. Before you go, for the second food question, you also received 2 cases of Nissan Cup Noodles.
I'm just going out on a limb here. Thank you very much, by the way, for that.
You're welcome.
Ma'am, okay, you go in. Okay. I don't know what this game is that we're playing with cup noodles, but my guess is if you ask something related to food, you'll get one case of noodles. So I would recommend you ask a food question just to see if you get the noodles.
I don't know where to bring them home, so I
That doesn't matter, you just want to win so somebody else can.
He doesn't do that.
Do you, just ask anything about food. Okay, what is your favorite kind of instant noodles?
I don't know, are there vegan instant noodles? Because I'm that one.
Veganese? I have to go first. Also, I asked the question, so I assume I get to go. Okay, now you can ask your other question.
My question is about the confession scene, and I wanted to say thank you so much for doing such an amazing job, because I know that it meant a lot to a lot of people, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
My question is, when I saw that scene, I was really surprised, because I wasn't really expecting it to happen, because after 15 years, I think a lot of people kind of expected cast Felix to remain the subject of the show, and I want to know if you know what went into the decision to have Cass confess his feelings, and if there was a time before where that was talked about and it wasn't went through with. So.
Don't mind me. I'm just breaking the sun.
Are they vegan?
They are not.
They're not vegan. You may
I
not
think
have-
somebody with the blue ones has the vegan ones, I think.
There was not a previous scene. This was the only time that this had been broached, and well, I do know what went into it. It was about a year of thought went into that scene. The idea for that scene came from Bob Behrens, the writer. He thought it was like really meaningful and important, and actually, I don't know if he has shared this publicly, but he told me before our last season that writing that scene is what kept him on the show for the last year. Like he stuck around for the last year to write that scene. So it has deep personal meaning for him and for me, and it's something that we talked about for a long time in advance. And I'm really glad we did it. It was meaningful to me, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't think we were going to do it either. When he proposed it to me, I was like, what? We can do that? That's amazing. In this heteronormative show, we can do that? That's amazing. So yes, thought went into it, and I was surprised too, and I'm glad we did it.
Thank you, so thank you.
Thank you.
Last question, no pressure.
Hello, I'm Tanya.
Hi, Sonia.
I would like to ask you if after all these years there's some question you always wanted to have asked and nobody did. So this is your chance to tell us something that you always wanted to tell the fans.
What are you dying to get off your chest?
No, there's nothing. Well, I will say that I'm very grateful to have found my way into this fandom, and very gratified to see that it is such a global phenomenon. I love the supernatural family. It feels like a family. It also feels like a subculture of its own. Sci-fi in general, I think, is a subculture that draws in weirdos and nerds and outcasts, and I'm looking at a lot of those right now.
I came in today, you were looking through the window, you said so many nerds.
So many nerds. And by the way, I consider myself a nerd, so that's a term of endearment. But it seems to me that the supernatural fandom is a subculture within that subculture, and one that has cultivated a community of kindness and creativity and empathy, and it's a group of people that is incredibly accepting and affirming and supportive of one another, and all of that is something that I'm proud to be a part of and lucky to be a member of and grateful for. So thank you all. Thank you for your hospitality. Thank you for allowing me to come to your country, even though it's not safe to have people from my country go anywhere. And I want to give you all love and say thank you for having me here this weekend.
Yeah.